There is a specific psychological paralysis that sets in when we face massive, terrifying circumstances that are entirely out of our hands. It creates a state of forced waiting, a holding pattern where you're aware of a crisis, but taking any meaningful action to fix the external problem is impossible. The Genesis flood narrative serves as a case study in prolonged isolation and mental endurance. Looking past the summary, the text reveals the brutal parameters of surviving a year-long catastrophe. Noah was locked inside a sealed wooden structure for nearly an entire year. Outside the walls, a planetary-scale disaster was unfolding, but from his perspective, the world was reduced to a dark box he could not leave. This raises a central question about human sanity. How do you maintain a sense of agency when your entire environment is defined by a destruction you have zero power to stop? This timeline illustrates the deluge's slow progression. It begins with a 40-day spike of relentless rain, stretching into a 150-day plateau of completely submerged Earth. The recession was slower. The ark rested in the 7th month, but mountain peaks weren't visible until the 10th. This chronological record grounds the story in geographical reality. By the time the ark reached the mountains of Ararat in present-day Turkey, the family had been in transition for nearly a year. This chart of the text highlights the moment God shut the door, signaling a shift in Noah's focus. While the global catastrophe was handled by a higher power, Noah was now strictly confined to managing a narrow set of immediate duties inside. Those duties began with the physical parameters of the vessel itself. The text record shows Noah was responsible for constructing a structure 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Maintenance required the tedious, manual task of sealing the entire structure with pitch, a thick tar, applied both inside and out. Inside, his daily life was consumed by the routine of feeding and managing a massive inventory of animals in a confined space. Even his attempts to understand the outside world were methodical and incremental, involving the repeated release of a raven and then a dove to check for dry ground. This focus illustrates a practical application of what psychologists call the locus of control. Noah navigated a year of total external uncertainty by prioritizing his immediate physical responsibilities, mastering his own daily environment while the floodwaters remained out of his hands. In Noah's 601st year, the earth finally dried. The doors opened to a world that had been completely altered during his time in isolation. Noah's first act upon leaving the ark was not to express bitterness over the long confinement, but to build an altar and offer a sacrifice of gratitude. In response to this, God established a formal, everlasting covenant, promising never again to destroy the earth with a global flood. As we see here in the text of Genesis 8, the covenant guaranteed a predictable, natural order. It promised that seed time and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter would never cease as long as the earth endures. The rainbow was set in the clouds as the permanent, visual symbol sealing this global promise. This framework offers a counter-strategy for modern anxiety. Panic often thrives on the false belief that we are responsible for controlling external chaos. Finding peace during a period of forced waiting requires identifying the actionable tasks within your own ark, executing them daily, and surrendering the timeline of the receding floodwaters to God.